Hello everyone, welcome back. Arctic Retro is back again with part 2 of this Commodore CDTV exploration videos. And in this part I thought I'll do some exploration of the features of the CDTV and the multimedia system. This is where I left off the machine in the previous part, and I did a full restoration of this with the cleaning and the replacement of the fans. So if you want to see that, you could check out this link here. I haven't put on the actual cover yet because I want to test if the CD-ROM drive is working before I do that, and I thought I'll just do it simple by testing first with this burnt CD-R that is actually an audio CD, not any multimedia. I guess this Commodore CDTV supports regular music CDs. If not, I will be disappointed. So nothing much happened. It actually tried to read. If I reset, I can see that the CD is spinning, and I can hear that it tries to read, but nothing happens. So let's try this one instead. It's a real CD, not a burnt one. Nope, that didn't work either. But I noticed one thing: if you press play, then you come into some settings menu where you can adjust the time and date and the language and stuff. But you need this remote controller to do that. So I'm guessing I have to check the batteries. They have probably been inside for years and years. And as usual with remote controls like this, the lid for the batteries are missing. If I find a model, I might try and print a 3D model of the battery lid. Luckily it doesn't seem like the batteries have leaked, so that's very good. Just cleaning off the whole thing with some alcohol. Then in with a couple of new batteries. Let's see now. Batteries are in. Yeah, this works. I can navigate and and I can actually turn it on and off. And if I select this area here, I can actually adjust the position of the picture, change the language, and of course change the time and date, 2021. Alright, so I actually burnt a real game for the CDTV on this CD from an image I downloaded. This should be a Turrican game for the CDTV. Let's see if it can read it. No, it doesn't want to read. Seems like it is not even trying to spin the CD. So yeah, I don't think this CD-ROM drive is working because no action there. So that's a little bit disappointing. So my next step is actually to replace this CD-ROM drive with the other one. However, before I do that, I'm actually going to test if I can actually boot this machine into Workbench. I have this original external floppy drive for the CDTV and also a mouse. So let's try that. So the floppy drive is ticking, and I have a workbench 1.2 here. Let's see what happens. Yeah, seems like it's working. It's starting to boot. All right, nice. And the mouse is working. It's still this mouse with a rubber ball. Commodore model CD-1253 from '92, made in Japan. Yeah, that worked. Mouse is a little bit bad. I need to clean it. So there's no sign of any CD-ROM disk in the workbench, but I guess I need a newer version of the workbench to make that work. But let's see now if I insert the CD. Yeah, nothing happens. Yeah, it of course it runs regular Amiga games from floppy, so this is the north and south. And the floppy drive seems to be okay. I had problem with this floppy disk on other floppy drives, but this one seems to be reading it just fine. I'm still gonna clean the floppy drive a little bit later in this video, so stay tuned if you want to see that. But I really want the CD-ROM drive to work, so that's what I'm gonna do next. I'm gonna take out the CD-ROM from the other machine and insert it into this one. Then there will be some more screwing. Oh boy, lots of work for getting this machine to work. And no room on the bench, so I have to sit on my knees here. I just took out the whole frame and everything, and I'm gonna take apart this machine for the third time. Okay, I'm gonna just tilt it over like this. So now I can take out this. And of course it might be that it's not the drive itself that's faulty. Could be some chip on the motherboard. I guess there are some firmware chip for the CD-ROM drive or anything like that. Let's wiggle this back into its place. I might not actually screw the whole thing together again before I test, but at least I need to connect the CD-ROM drive to the motherboard, and that's of course these two contacts. I turned on the machine, and yeah, seems like there's some other problem that has risen up now, and yeah, it just shows a white screen and nothing more. So all right, I did actually put back the old drive, and as you can see, the screen is still white, but that's because I took off the connectors. So if I insert the connectors for the original drive here, then the machine actually boots into that menu. So and the other CD-ROM I had connected, so that probably means it is dead. So that's a bummer. That means I can't test out the CD-ROM discs I have. So a little bit disappointing, but that's how it is with these old machines. So the question is, can you replace the CD-ROM drive with some more modern variant, or more another IDE CD-ROM drive? Perhaps, but will it fit? Nope, probably not. So I might of course try to swap over some parts from the other CD-ROM drive, maybe the drive mechanism or the drive head and things like that, but I think it's not worth it. It's a lot of work for an unknown result. Alright, I can't get the CD-ROM drive to work, so it's probably something wrong with it, but it's beyond the scope of this video to try and fix that now. However, I'm gonna do a couple of other things. I'm gonna clean up the floppy disk drive, and I also have a keyboard to take care of, and after that I'm gonna run some games via my Gotek drive. The floppy drive works perfectly as I've tested, but it's kind of dirty, and I'm gonna take off the plastic covers to clean it up inside as well. So this drive is kind of cool looking, black. Yeah, there's 4 screws on the underside here. I already taken out 3 of them. So let's see if we can lift this up now. Maybe turn it around first. Okay, so inside you just have this rather usual looking floppy disk drive. It has a date code of 0292, nearly 30 years old. I guess it's just a matter of lifting it up, yes. Alright, so there's a lot of dust and loose things inside, so I'm gonna clean this real good with some hot soapy water in my sink. So a little bit dust, but that's okay. I'm gonna take off this metal cover here. Yeah, judging by the screws, this has never been opened before. You hear that snap, that means that the screw has not been out, probably. So now we can lift this up, and there's a contact there. We can take that off just to release the drive from the cable. And now it just looks like a regular old 3.5-inch floppy disk for the Amiga. Just wiping off the dust, and I'm gonna take a look inside, because we still have to take off this top cover here. Alright, so that's a familiar mechanism. You can actually take off the whole plastic thing here, but I'm not gonna do that. It actually doesn't look too bad inside, so I'm gonna just clean off the surfaces and the drive head. Most of the dirt is here in front, so just wiping it off. It's not very dirty at all, but there's something. The most important thing to clean is this drive rail here from the stepper motor, and that's the stepper motor. It steps this mechanism, and the drive head moves in and out. This axle usually has a lot of grease, old grease, as you can see. So the grease there gathers dirt over time, so it's of course a good idea to clean that off and add some new lubrication, which I'm gonna do. So now it's starting to be clean and looking much better. Finally, I'm gonna clean off the heads, and I just use a clean cotton swab with some alcohol and just rub carefully. Not use any force, and then I just turn it around to, yeah, wipe off with the clean side. And then I try to do the same on the upper head. Finally, I use a little bit of silicone grease, and I lubricate, of course, the drive axle a little bit, and also here up where the head is running on this plastic. Just a thin layer, and that's actually it. The eject mechanism is this one, and it runs on these wheels, so there is no need to lubricate. There's not much friction, but maybe you can just have a little bit anyway. Alright, that was a quick maintenance of this floppy drive, and hopefully this makes it last longer and perform better. So I'm just gonna assemble it and move over to the next task. The plastics turned out really nice after the cleaning. Yeah, cool looking front, Amiga Commodore logo, a little LED. There's a few scratches here, and yeah, maybe you can see it now, but there's not much you can do about this actually. They're quite deep, so yeah. I also cleaned the cable a little bit. It was quite dirty, so now it is shiny and clean, and yeah, little dirt. Next up is the keyboard, and I'm taking this keyboard because it looks most okay and has all the original keys. The other one has one key from another machine, looks like. Oh boy, this is quite dirty, so this keyboard needs a good cleaning, which I'm gonna do now. And there's 6 screws, lots of scratches, but doesn't really look like it's scratches. It's more like some dirt. So I'm just gonna open this now and remove all the keycaps and clean up under the keycaps. We'll see what we find. Alright, so there's the keyboard inside. Looks a little bit similar like the Commodore Amiga 500 keyboards, perhaps. So these plastics goes into a hot soapy bath. The inside looks a little bit dirty. There's, yeah, what's that? Some leftover food, perhaps? And as always, you should not try and use like a screwdriver and try and push up the keycaps, because then you might break them. Instead, you should use a tool like this, which you can find very cheap on eBay, for example. It's a key puller, and that gives you an even force on both sides of the keys, so they can pull straight up. Aha, these are some rubber springs. I have seen those before. I'm not really sure where. Maybe it was an Amiga keyboard. Finally, the space bar, and it has a yellow spring. How cool is that? This has, and also the other larger keys has this metal support, and these can easily break off the fastenings if you're not careful. You just need to make sure you understand the mechanism that locks the support, and then on this one it's just about to push it away from you. And there were also these two springs. Yeah. Okay, now this needs some cleaning. Everything is now clean and looking very nice, so now it's just a matter of assembling this keyboard again. Lots of keys. Okay, this keyboard is now looking nice again. Yeah, almost perfect. A little dust came after I cleaned it, but yeah, looks like brand new. It's time to assemble the machine and start a little bit of testing. However, there's one thing I just want to mention. If you don't want this CDTV startup screen and instead want to use this as a computer and have it to show the Kickstart boot image, then there's this jumper 15 on the motherboard you can remove. So if I turn this on now and remove the jumper, if I turn it off and on, of course, then it comes straight into Kickstart screen. Yeah, let's see now, does it still work after the restoration? Yes, it does. Still loads from the floppy. Nice. Oh, I almost forgot. I need to clean up the mouse, and this is a model CD-1253 made in Japan. So I'm just gonna clean it up a little bit with some alcohol and take out the ball. Very long cable for this mouse. Let's see if I can open this. Yeah, and the mouse ball is a bit dirty, and oh boy, there's a lot of crud inside on these rollers, which is almost always the case with these old mice. Then inside, a good dash of alcohol always helps. There's some dirt that's really stuck to the wheel, so I just scrape it off. Okay, starting to look good. Alright, I think that was it. The remote control, as you saw, it's working, but it's missing its cover for the batteries. So I went ahead to Thingiverse and I actually found one. So I have printed it already. Let's see if it fits. When you print parts like these, often you have to print this support material that are necessary for the printer to be able to print like this overhanging parts. So then you have to trim those off, otherwise this part looks very nice. Some yeah, some mark there, I don't know what that is, probably something, some contamination on the print plate or something. Let's see now. Yeah, a little bit of force and I think that was perfect. A little bit different shine into the plastic, but the color is nice. You can of course use a little sandpaper or something to make a little bit of texture into the plastic so that it isn't as shiny, but I think this looks really nice, and it's on the underside anyway, so alright, time to do a little testing. I have hooked up the keyboard and the mouse, and yeah, what I was thinking now, I'm gonna connect a Gotek drive, and I have one here in yeah, this is an external drive case with a Gotek floppy emulator, so I'm gonna connect that instead of the floppy disk drive. So now there's a lot of cables in the back here, also connected the RGB video output with a cable to SCART input on this TV. And on this drive I have the Amiga test kit, so I think that's the one it's gonna boot from now. Let's turn on. Yeah, that works. Amiga test kit by Keir Fraser, a very nice tool if you need to run some diagnostics test, and the mouse seems to be working fine. Let's test the keyboard then. Yeah, looking very good. Nice, and the number pad. Alright, so this keyboard works just fine. Excellent. Let's run a little memory test. And it says 1 megabyte chip RAM, which is correct, as we know. Gonna test all memory. The memory test just loops around forever, so you can test it for a while, and then you're pretty sure it works okay. Yeah, it ran 5 times, so I think that's enough. Then we have audio. Yeah, everything checks out. What about video? That's just a test pattern. And chipset. Yeah, every test passed. Let's try out some games. And the CDTV doesn't have any joystick ports, So you can't connect a joystick directly to it, but then we have this remote controller. Maybe we can use that one. So this is a familiar game, Defender of the Crown. I used to play a lot back in the day. Just gonna switch disc. I'm gonna turn down the volume. The remote controller has the switch, mouse or joy, and now it's on mouse, and now you can actually move the mouse pointer, as you can see on the screen, with remote control. So that's really nice if you sit in the sofa and you don't have a mouse all the way from the TV. I'm gonna do a little bit of raiding. Okay, I lost. So this is Turrican 2. Defender of the Crown uses a mouse, but this game uses a joystick, so I just want to test that. Yeah, I want unlimited lives, and that's it. Press left mouse button to continue. And everything I do now is on the remote controller. Press fire to start. I know that John Beta used to play this game a lot, so that's why I want to test it too. No, I actually used to play it back in the day. Me too, so yeah. Yeah, this works just fine. But I'm lousy at it. So I think the controls works amazingly good compared to a joystick. So yeah, I'm actually surprised that this remote controller works like this. And as usual, I die. Most of the things seems to be working on this machine, except for the CD-ROM drive. But I said I might try to do some modifications to this machine, and the first thing I'm gonna test is if I can replace the CPU with some more powerful CPU and perhaps some more RAM. And what I have here is the Terriblefire card that actually contains a 68030 CPU, and also has, I think it's 8 megabytes RAM or 4, I'm not really sure, I don't remember now. And it also has a co-processor, so this really speeds up an Amiga. And the thing is, you just take out the CPU and replace it with this. So let's test that. When you work on the CDTV, please make sure that you disconnect the power, because if you just turn off the machine with the power button, it is actually kind of still on. Some of the circuitry is still running hot. And this goes right into the socket. There's yeah, there's a capacitor there that is a little bit protruding, but I think this will work. Yeah, a little bit tight socket there. Let's see now. I'm gonna turn on and see if it works. This is not a permanent solution because it wouldn't fit under the cover. So if you want to do a mod like this, you have to come up with some solution for for the case, I guess. No, that's just a green screen. That's not a good sign. Maybe it's not all the way in. No, I actually upgraded the Kickstart ROM to 3.1, which I have one here from Amiga Forever, and the ROM is working. So, but now I have the original CPU in, so let's see if I try the Terriblefire card now. Might be that it's not compatible with this machine. I haven't really checked if it is supposed to be working or not. I'm just checking out the possibilities here. Now still just a green screen. I just built it up with one more layer of of a socket, or these socket pin headers. Okay, that's more like it. Hopefully that will work. Nope, still no good, so I'm giving up that one. I'm not gonna use more time on the Terriblefire. Probably not compatible in some way with the memory or anything like that. But there is another mod I want to test out, and that's this one. It's the RGB to HDMI adapter, and you maybe saw my video where I built this and tested it out on an Amiga 500, and it worked great. So I thought, why shouldn't it work on this machine? And we just need to take out the Denise chip and insert this one instead, and then we can connect the HDMI cable to this one. Then the HDMI cable. Nothing. And of course, stupid me, you obviously need to put back the Denise chip into the device. All right, so let's try again. Now it just switched to SCART automatically, the TV. Let's switch source. Yeah, look at that, there's a picture at least, but the color seems a bit off. Obviously it's more blue, but yeah, that indicates that something is not completely inserted. Just gonna take out the RGB just to avoid the confusion here. All right, so still missing some colors. Alright, so I have tried different things. The thing works via RGB, so we know that the Denise chip is working and outputting a video signal, but still, and then now the HDMI just shows completely black. So I don't know if I have damaged this Raspberry Pi or anything. I tried to check the memory card and upload and overwrite all the files for the software, but still the same. So it just shows. Also try to connect external power to this. So you saw that the colors on the screen, that means that the Raspberry Pi actually produces an image, but it won't process the signal from the Amiga. Alright, so I actually gave up using this RGB to HDMI, which is a pity because I really wanted to see if that worked. I actually tested the Raspberry Pi with another Linux installation, and it worked just fine with that, so it's nothing wrong with the Pi, but there's probably something wrong with the connection somewhere. I'm not really sure. I have to check that out later, but for the scope of this video I'm not gonna do any more with that. Okay, let's try a little flight simulator. F-18 Interceptor is a game I used to play a lot back in the day. Alright, this long video about the Commodore CDTV is coming to an end. Unfortunately, I ran out of time and I wasn't able to do all the things I had planned successfully, but at least you know the machine in and out and what you actually can do with it if you succeed. But besides that, this was an interesting video for me. I learned a lot, and I think this is a great machine. I would really like to have one in my living room connected to my big TV with HDMI and yeah, all the best games running through a memory stick using a Gotek drive, and that would be obtainable, of course. No one uses the old CDs anymore, so it's not a big loss that the CD-ROM doesn't work. It might be working, might be something easy to fix. That might come up in another video some other time, we'll see. But for now, I hope you enjoyed this video, and as always, thanks to my patrons for the support. Thanks, bye bye.